Sometimes people don't leave your life loudly. There's no explosion, no final argument, no clear goodbye. They simply fade. Conversations slow. Effort becomes one-sided. And one day you realize the connection you were fighting to keep alive has already been let go. You replay everything, wondering what you did wrong, what you should have said differently, why God allowed it to fall apart so quietly. It feels like loss. It feels like rejection. It feels like God took something precious without explaining why. But here's the truth that hurts before it heals. Not everyone who leaves was taken from you. Some were removed for you. You weren't abandoned. You were protected. There were things you couldn't see, intentions you couldn't discern, damage you would have absorbed if that person stayed. God saw where the road was heading long before you reached the turn, and the separation you're grieving right now might be the very act of mercy that saved you from becoming someone you were never meant to be. Sometimes the hardest goodbyes are the ones without closure. You didn't get an explanation. You didn't get clarity. You just felt the distance grow until staying became heavier than letting go. And your mind keeps asking the same question. If God is loving, why would He allow someone you cared about to disappear? But here's what most people never realize. God's protection rarely feels like protection at first. It often feels like loss, confusion, or unanswered prayers. When God removes someone, it's not because you weren't enough. It's because staying would have cost you more than leaving ever will. You were fighting to preserve something God was trying to prevent from harming you. And the reason it hurts so deeply is because you couldn't see what He saw. You saw companionship. God saw compromise. You saw comfort. God saw erosion. You saw potential. God saw the price you would eventually pay. This isn't about punishment or rejection. It's about preservation. God doesn't remove people to empty your life. He removes them to protect the future He's preparing you for. People often confuse attachment with purpose. Just because someone was close to you doesn't mean they were meant to walk with you forever. Emotionally, we bond before we discern. Spiritually, that can blind us. When God removes someone, it's usually after He's seen patterns you normalized, conversations that drained you, compromises you justified, boundaries you kept crossing just to keep peace. Over time, those small concessions reshape you. You start shrinking where you once stood firm. You start explaining away things that once felt wrong. God watches that erosion quietly, patiently, long before it reaches a breaking point. He knows how slowly damage forms when love is mixed with confusion. That's why removal often feels sudden to you, but deliberate to Him. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't cruel. It was preventative. God doesn't wait until the collapse to intervene. He steps in when your future is still salvageable. And the ache you feel now isn't proof you lost something essential. It's proof you were released before losing yourself. There are nights you still replay their voice in your head. Moments you catch yourself reaching for your phone, forgetting for a second that the door is already closed. Your heart argues with what your spirit knows. You remember the good, the laughter, the familiarity, but you forget the weight. You forget how often you felt drained after trying to hold it together. You forget how many times you prayed in silence, asking God to change something you were too afraid to confront. And that's where the tension lives, between what you miss and what almost broke you. God didn't remove them to punish your love. He removed them because He saw the version of you that relationship was slowly creating. A quieter you, a smaller you, a more anxious you. The kind of change that happens so gradually you don't notice until you've lost your peace. The separation feels cruel because it interrupts attachment. But attachment isn't always alignment. And what feels like loss now may be the moment God stepped in before confusion became identity. God's protection is rarely dramatic. It doesn't always come with thunder or warning. Most of the time, it comes quietly, through distance, discomfort, and unanswered questions. You prayed for clarity, but God gave you separation. You asked Him to fix the relationship, but He chose to remove it. Not because He didn't care about your heart, but because He cared too much about your future. God sees paths you can't. He knows which connections will cost you peace, which attachments will weaken your faith, which relationships will slowly pull you away from who He's shaping you to become. You may feel like something was taken from you, but heaven sees it as something withheld from harming you. God doesn't remove people lightly. He removes them when staying would require you to keep bleeding quietly. And even now, in the ache and confusion, His hand hasn't left you. The same God who allowed the separation is the God standing beside you in the silence, protecting what you cannot yet see, preserving what you would have lost if He hadn't stepped in when He did. God is not undoing your past by removing them. He is defending your future. What felt like loss was actually restraint. What felt like silence was intervention. You didn't lose someone you needed. You were spared becoming someone you weren't meant to be. The ache you feel now is not proof that God failed you. It's proof that something powerful was interrupted before it could finish shaping you. Protection rarely feels gentle in the moment, but clarity always follows obedience. And one day you'll look back and realize the door that closed saved you from a room where your peace would have slowly died. God didn't remove them to break your heart. He removed them to keep it alive. This is the part where trust replaces attachment, where surrender replaces control, where faith steps in front of understanding. The separation was not the end of a blessing. It was the beginning of safety. What God protects you from will never compare to what He's preparing you for. What would change in your life if you stopped mourning what God removed and started trusting what He protected you from?